Do you wonder about past lives? Have you ever thought about where your soul has been, where it's going, or what lessons and memories have been gathered along the way? In this podcast, we will discuss past life memories, psychic phenomena, energy healing, and other metaphysical topics with experts and the average person to find out how we can heal through these experiences. So I invite you to join me on my journey. Welcome to the Regression Session. Welcome back to the Regression Session. My name is Ian. Welcome to the Regression Session. To any new people tuning in, we love you. I have been gone for like a month, but I'm back and I am in full swing, ready to get back into the routine of releasing bi-weekly content. There's a lot going on in my life, unfortunately, that I just don't have the time to be hitting every single week with content. For now, I'm hoping to get back to releasing weekly episodes, but that's looking like it's a little bit farther off into the future. So anyway, I've had a few of you reach out to me personally asking me to do this episode. And this episode is going to be talking about past life regression. But there are a ton of podcasts out there that talk about past life regressions. They talk about what it is and how you do it and things like that. But what I want to really get into is like, what are you actually doing, right? What are we doing when we are doing these past life regressions? And this is specifically for people that are looking to get into this and start being practitioners. I mean, the episode is for everybody. It's going to be informational. Really, it's going to be another one of those episodes where I just kind of lay out my thoughts and my thought process personally about how to approach this issue. Coming from somebody who just kind of jumped in head first with no idea what I was doing, and then I slowly found a process and a bunch of different spiritual, scientific, and theological beliefs based off of my journey through this process. So I hope that those of you that are interested in going down this path and learning how to do this, I hope that this helps out a lot. And please, those of you that reached out to me, if there's something else that I didn't cover in this, or a question that I posed, or an answer that I gave to a concept that you don't understand, or that you are wanting clarification on, please reach out to me. And that goes for any of my listeners as well. If you have a topic that you want me to cover or you want me to go over, please feel free to reach out to me at the Regression Session at gmail.com. So without further ado, I'm just going to start talking. This is going to be one of those kind of freeform episodes again, stream thought, stream consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And it's just going to be me talking about my process. So let's talk about past life regression. What is it? What are we doing? And keep in mind, these are all my personal opinions and my personal experiences. I am not an expert, but I am a professional. I would go as far as to say that I am a professional. My goal in making this is, like I said earlier, to assist those of you that are trying to go down this path with understanding the what, the how, and the why. So what exactly are we doing when we're doing a past life regression or a life between life regression or a quantum healing or whatever you want to call it? So what is it that we're actually doing? How are we doing it? Like what is actually happening? What are some techniques to do it? I don't know where to start. We're going to address that. And then why? Why do it? Why are we farting around with this? What's the point? For fun? Is it for fun? I don't know. I think it's fun. And I'm sure other people out there think it's fun, but doing something just for the sake of doing it doesn't necessarily justify the action in and of itself. And once again, I've touched on this a few times, but we are going to touch on the other argument of the supposed ethical question with past life regressions, and go over that. So what exactly is past life regression? Is it going and seeing literal past lives? Are we going to go all in and say, yes, we are literally going back into the subconscious memory and we are pulling out memories of your literal past life? Or are we going to stay on the scientific side of things and say maybe it's just your subconscious mind throwing together a scene in order for you to help you process whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, your grief, your trauma, your pain, your sadness, whatever it is, your confusion? Is it just your subconscious mind throwing something together to try to make sense of it all? Or are we going to go down the pseudoscience lane and say, okay, this is like genetic memories from our ancestors? Really, to me, it does not matter which of those camps you live in, because those are, from what I've seen, like the three main camps when you're getting started anyway. There's way more, we'll call it woo-woo stuff out there. And that's fascinating to talk about. But for the most part, we're going to look at like the scientific point of view, where this is our subconscious mind creating things, or this is a literal past lives. And there's kind of some people like me that are that try to stay grounded in between those. But really, what is it? In my opinion, it is the combination of the science of hypnosis with the innate spirituality within all of us. And yes, I do understand that some people don't feel like they are necessarily innately spiritual, but I personally believe that all humans are innately spiritual, and it's a huge part of our lives that we, for the most part in the West anyway, skip out on. So that's what I think past life regression actually is the combination of hypnosis and spirituality. But what are those, right? What is spirituality? By definition, spirituality is a broad concept with room for many perspectives. In general, it includes a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, and it typically involves a search for meaning in life. With that definition, even science could be considered a spirituality of sorts. Really, what spirituality is, I think, is seeking to broaden your sense of existence, right? Almost everybody that's spiritual that I have spoken to or that I associate with frequently, they have a greater sense of existence, right? It's like the concept or the feeling that we are all part of the same thing. We're all the same organism living as one. And that's really what spirituality is. And I've seen this time and time again when I've been doing past life regressions. And my friend that I did a session with once put it perfectly. He said that it's like being on a massive beach, and you can focus down into being just a little tiny grain of sand, or you can be aware of the beach. And as a previous guest on my show said, Andy Sway, if you want to pretend for your whole life that you're just the grain of sand on the beach and that you're not necessarily connected to the whole beach, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're already a spiritual being having a physical experience. But a lot of us are searching for being part of something more, and it's out there. And so if we approach past life regression with the understanding that we are all connected in some way, it will help you to understand that your client is connecting with something on a grander scale. So when you're sitting down, you're in the, whether you're doing it through Zoom or you have people in your office, you're sitting down, you're putting them into hypnosis. Just try to understand, or at least consider, if you haven't, that yes, we are all part of a bigger thing, and that's what the essence of past life regression is, using the tool of hypnosis to get to it. You're really taking like a shortcut almost to spirituality or the awareness of that massive beach. You're taking them from being a single grain of sand to being the whole beach. And that's what we're accessing. If we're going to do past life regressions, we need to go into it all in, right? We need to not be half in, half out. I was half in, half out for a long time. I was trying to prove it. I was trying to prove that there is a scientific basis for all of this, and I need to know, right? But that was holding back the healing from my clients, of me trying to prove everything, because I didn't accept the spirituality aspect of it, which is it's a huge part. It's half or more. And so my first level of advice is to embrace the spirituality aspect of it. And that's going to take your session so much farther if you can just lean into, with a yes and attitude, the spirituality side of things. What do I mean by yes and attitude? If someone tells you something, it's a yes and, right? So we can look at it as like improv. I don't know if anybody has seen plays out there, or is even in like an improv group or anything like that, or has ever played any improv games. But the number one rule of improv is yes and. So if I was to say, oh my God, there is a orange 20-foot alligator over there, and someone said no, that's just gonna stop your improv session in its tracks. And so the number one rule of improv, as well as hypnosis, is yes and, right? We never want to say, no, that doesn't make sense. No. It's always yes and. So what else? What else are you aware of? And that's just a little tangent that I went off on, unfortunately. I haven't been doing this for like a month, so please bear with me. So now that we've kind of touched on the spirituality side of things, Let's talk about the hypnosis side of things. And this is definitely the more technical side of things. I feel like this side of things is what people are looking for, that they don't really have a ton of access to, because I'm not going to lie, a lot of courses out there, a lot of certifications for hypnosis and past life regression, they're really pricey, right? And that's the reason that I learned by myself to begin with, is because I did not want to pay $4,000 to learn how to put someone under hypnosis. Yes, there are YouTube videos and other things like that, but they don't really go into depth. They tell you the how, they tell you the what, but they don't combine it all. And I'm trying to put all this together for you guys. So what is hypnosis? Is it putting someone to sleep and accessing their dreams? Or what is it? Well, hypnosis is a natural state that your mind enters all the time. Any state where you are doing something without really thinking about it, that is technically hypnosis. So like when you're driving, right? You're operating the steering wheel. You can shift if you need to. You're operating the brake and the gas. You're checking your mirrors and your blind spots. You're signaling. You're probably drinking a drink or messing with the radio. All that stuff together. You don't even have to think about doing it because you've been doing it for so long. Your brain enters an autopilot mode. That is what hypnosis is that autopilot. It's accessing the part of your brain that works without your inner monologue controlling everything. Your brain, your conscious brain, it likes to be in control. It likes to tell you what to do. It likes to control everything that you're doing. But with certain things, it surrenders control. Like the driving or the brushing your teeth or typing for a lot of people. You don't really have to think about where your fingers are landing on the keyboard. That's what hypnosis is. So how do we get there manually, right? We automatically enter it all the time, just every day. Brushing your hair, right? All that stuff. Washing your hair in the shower, anything like that. Getting dressed, all that stuff. So but how do we get there manually? How do you get someone else into that state? How do you, as the practitioner, get someone into that brain state? Well, it's actually quite simple, but it's not necessarily easy, and I'm going to break it down as well as I can in a quick episode. The best remedy for this is practice, but really what you're going to be doing is you're going to be creating an emotion and then giving a suggestion. So what does that mean? A very simple test that you can conduct to see how this works is called the finger lock. But before I tell you about this, I'm going to explain. As a human, you're constantly fluctuating between different emotions. Getting people to commit to an emotion and then allowing them to feel that emotion for a minute, and then giving them a suggestion. For whatever reason, this interrupts your autopilot, right? It will allow someone to enter into that state. I know there's a ton of science behind it. I'm not interested in going into the science. If you want, you can look up a book by this gentleman on Audible. His name is Freddie Jacquin. I will include a link to his book in the description so that you can check it out. It's very informative about this, and it gives you tons of different inductions. What is an induction? Well, an induction is a way to get people to feel an emotion and then give a suggestion. For anybody who's entered into hypnosis, these suggestions can be as simple as close your eyes. Now, one thing to understand about hypnosis for anybody who's been nervous to try it or hasn't tried it is we're not taking over your mind here. We can't force you to do something that you wouldn't have done already, right? We're just giving a suggestion. So there is an amount of trust involved. But, for example, back to the finger lock. What you do is you tell someone to interlock their fingers. And then what I do is I have people... Actually, I'll just do it for everybody. So, if you're in a place where you can do this and you won't be in physical danger or anything like that, interlace your fingers together, almost like you're in the prayer position. And I want you to just stare at your fingers for a minute. And then, as you're staring at your fingers, simply think of the people that you love most in the world. Once you have the thought of those people in your mind, I want you to feel the love that you feel for those people. Just allow that love to wash over you. There's nothing wrong with that. Just feel that love completely wash over you. And now, as you're feeling the love for the people that you love most, I want you to allow the world's strongest glue to kind of make its way onto your palms and in between your fingers. Just kind of oozing in between all of your joints, and then it's going to dry. All while feeling the love of the people that you love most. As you're feeling this love, that glue is going to dry so well that just for a little while, you're not going to be able to pull your hands apart, and that's okay. Feel free to try for a minute. I'm going to count down from 3 to 1. When I say 1, you'll be able to pull your hands apart, and you'll feel incredible. 3, 2, 1. Now, that doesn't necessarily work for everybody. But if it worked for you, great. That is exactly how you can get into a light hypnosis. And people like stage hypnotists use methods like this all the time, right? It gets you into a very light hypnosis. But what we're looking for when we are doing a past life regression is we're looking to get them into a deep, we call it a trance. It's very commonly referred to as a trance state. And so how do we get people to that trance state? Well, certain people that are prominent in the hypnosis field, they say that you don't need to really do anything special and that you can get people to enter it very, very quickly. But as we've seen with the finger lock method that we just tried, those methods don't necessarily work for everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a method. So, one method that I found that works extremely reliably to at least get someone into a trance is the full body trance method. And this goes by different names across the board. There's no, like I said, no one size fits all kind of a name for these things. No one size fits all solution for anybody. But I've had almost a 100% success rate with this method. And what the full body trance is just simply relaxing the body. What works very, very well for me, and I've talked to a ton of different hypnotists out there that use this method because it just allows people to relax, right? If you have tension in your body that's bugging you or that you can't relax, you're going to have that much harder of a time letting go of that inner self monologue, like, oh God, my neck hurts, man, or did I turn off the stove when I came in here today, or God, did I leave all the lights on? Man, I wonder what I got to do for work tomorrow, right? What you want to do is you want to relax them so completely that the only thing that they're paying attention to is their own relaxation. So a great method to do this is to start commonly with the feet. I start with the feet. There's a reason for this, for the reason that I do it. And it has to do with the chakra system, but that's a completely different conversation. If you start off by relaxing their toes, right? You just say, I want you to turn your attention to your toes. And I want you to relax your toes and then move that relaxation into your feet. Just release any tension, any uncomfortable feelings, any aches or pains. Just let that all kind of unwind or melt out. Whatever is your favorite way to say it. I say unwind, like twisting away. That's just my personal flavor, I guess. But then you just slowly kind of work your way up, into the calves. I point out specific body parts, so like the calves, the shins, the hamstrings, the thighs, moving up into the lower abdomen, the lower back, the chest, the upper back, and then I usually pay special attention to the shoulders, the base of the neck, and then down into the arms and fingers, and then I go back up one more time to the neck and shoulders, because there's a lot of tension stored there typically. And then you move up into their head, the back of their head, their face, their cheeks, the muscles around their eyes, their forehead, and then finally the top of their head they release. And then once you relax them, I do the countdown. And that's usually I do 10 to 1, and I say, I'm going to count from 10 to 1, and then we're going to get heavier and more relaxed, and your whole body is going to unwind this time instead of just specific parts. So you pay attention to each specific part of the body, and then you unwind the body or relax the body as a whole. And usually when I get down to about 5, I double the weight, and then when I get down to 2 or 3, I say you may now feel a floating sensation or become aware of a floating sensation or a tingling sensation or some kind of a sensation. It doesn't have to be very prominent. It could just be a feeling of relaxation. One thing that's very important when doing these sessions is to understand that not everybody is going to experience these things the same way as you or the next guy. Okay, for example, I have aphantasia. That is the inability to imagine things in my own head. So, for example, I don't have that inner self monologue that I keep referring to. I don't have inner self talk. When I close my eyes, it's just dark and quiet. So if you said, now you're going to see a garden or you're going to see a whatever, I don't relate to that. That's not going to affect me. So a really safe bet when you're doing this is to say you're going to become aware of whatever it is that you're leading them to, right? And I use that really. I'm so tempted to cut that part out, but see, it was a slip of the tongue. Rule number 1 of doing past life regressions is to not ask leading questions, okay? But we'll come back to that. You want to make sure that you're using terminology that's not going to make people think that there's only one way to see or imagine what it is you're trying to get them to experience. Because usually in inductions, you're going to be leading them to like a safe place, right? It could be like some hypnotists out there, they like to create their own space that they're familiar with. I never do that. I always say, okay, you're going to find yourself in a safe space that makes you feel completely safe and secure and comfortable. It could be a familiar place. It could be a place that you've made up. It could be like just a garden or a forest or a meadow. Whatever place makes you feel safe. So I do no world building at all when I do this hypnotic induction, because what's to say, like, if I feel safe in a garden, what's to say that somebody hasn't had something horrible happen to them in a garden, like they got bit by a dog or whatever? They're not necessarily going to feel safe in a garden. So this is why we use these kind of broad questions to make people feel more secure, more safe. And that safe space is going to be very important, because if this, let's just say you're doing a past life regression and someone sees World War II and there's a horrible, horrible death coming. We know that there's a horrible death. This is their safe place to fall back on, right? They need to be able to feel completely secure here. So that is why we let them build their safe space. We let the client build their safe space, and we let them experience that safe place in any way that makes them feel comfortable. So if it's just an impression, like, oh, like I'm getting the impression of a blue flower, or I'm hearing like a stream. I hear a stream in the background, but I don't really see much. That's okay. Remember the rule of yes and. Yes, okay, great. What else are you aware of? Right? What else can you pick out? It doesn't have to be this massive, like, oh my God, I see like a painting right now. Like, it's so much detail. No, that's not what's always going to happen. So being aware of these things, being aware of the way that you're presenting your information and the way that you're presenting your induction is super important. I encourage you to be mindful of the way you're presenting these things. Okay. And then, of course, there's different ways to go about it. I don't really use a script, but using a script is really good to kind of get your bearings, right? Once you get them to their safe space, you can do all kinds of things, right? This is where the magic happens. Is once they get to that safe place, you can take them to a different place. You can take them to like, if let's just say you're working with someone who has childhood trauma, you can bring them to a door or a window or whatever, where they're going to go back in time, basically, to remember these events. If you're doing a past life regression, the Newton Institute takes people all the way back to the womb. I simply look for a doorway that lets people see whatever it is they need to see, right? But that's just me. That's not going to work for you or for anybody else necessarily. You need to find something that works for you. And there's all kinds of inductions online. I'm sure that, like, this is kind of old-fashioned, but I guess if you go to the library and, like, get books on hypnosis, you can never have enough information about this stuff. Okay? And so after you go through the experience, and remember, the rule, yes and. After we go through the experience, right? We've gone through the whole life. Okay, now you're dead. Basically, you have two options. You can do the life between life, which is kind of a more advanced past life regression. It's the space in between lives, and that takes a lot longer. Or you can bring them back out. And this is important, okay? Doing this the correct way is going to make a huge difference. Always make sure to bring people back out, simply because it is appropriate. First of all, it gives them a sense of completion, a sense of safety. It brings them back up. It allows you to discuss and decompress and debrief, unpack, right? Doing this past life regression is more than just going through the experience. It's unpacking what we see. It's allowing the client to make connections with themselves, right? It's allowing them to talk, because there's only really normally two people experiencing this. It's you and the client, and they're going to want to talk about it most of the time. Very rarely have I had a client come to me and say, hey, you know what, I don't really feel comfortable talking about that. Thanks, but no thanks, right? Most of the time, people are going to want to talk about it and get it off their chest. So this is a really great opportunity to assist them with that, but also allow them to maintain a sense of well-being, okay? So there's kind of two ways to do this, to bring people back out. So you can do the count up, which I had done for a very long time. It just, going to count from 1 to 10 this time instead of 10 to 1, and we're going to go back up. You're going to slowly come back to your body, which is appropriate. And when you're doing it that way, which is the way that most people start because it's comfortable, it's familiar, it makes sense to do that, is I want you to start, if you haven't started practicing already, or if you're going to start practicing, I want you to, as you're counting up back from 1 to 10, I want you to make suggestions, right? Okay, as I count up, you're going to feel more confident, you're going to feel stronger, you're going to feel happier, you're going to feel just absolutely amazing. And every single day moving forward, this feeling of well-being is going to increase. You count them up. And you can do a long count out, or you can do a short count out. And then there's the second way. As you instead of counting them up, you just say, all right, I want you to allow a sense of complete well-being, complete confidence, whatever it is you want to suggest. It can be different for each client, but I want you to allow a sense of XYZ to envelop you. And when you're ready, you're going to open your eyes. But every single day going forward, this feeling that you feel right now is going to grow. It's going to just completely grow like a massive tree, or whatever metaphor you want to use, or however you want to present it. But you just want to keep it with them. And instead of counting them out, they're going to open their eyes and they're going to just be there, right? And then that is a way of kind of keeping them in under that suggestion. So there's two different ways. I know, and these aren't the only two ways, right? I want to stress that what I'm telling you, there are so many different ways out there to do this. It's just mind-numbing. You could study hypnosis for decades and probably not even find every single way or creed or doctrine or whatever you want to call them about this. But to me, it's important because circling back on what hypnosis or what past life regression is, being a combination of hypnosis and spirituality. To me, it doesn't matter if it's just my mind making up a story. It doesn't matter if it's actually me seeing a literal past life, or it doesn't matter if it's ancestral memory coming down through my genetic heritage. The only goal that I have in doing this nowadays is to make people feel good, make people feel better, make people understand themselves in a way that they didn't before, or come away with something, I don't know, a missing piece of themselves or whatever, right? As long as they feel good afterwards, that's all that matters. And these suggestions are powerful. Giving a suggestion to somebody who's coming out of a hypnosis, it's a really good way to ensure that some sense of well-being is going out with them. And that's really the best advice that I think I can give. And so now we've talked about what spirituality is, and then what is hypnosis? How can we do it? And a little bit on the why, right? For you, your why is going to be different than my why. Why are you doing this? Is it just an insatiable curiosity to see what's out there? Is it a need to help people? Is it a need to explore people's spirituality? Or is it even deeper? Do you need to live vicariously through people so that you can fill the spiritual void inside yourself? That's kind of where I was. And these are all different questions. Really, if you don't know why you're doing this, why do it at all? I want you, before diving too deep into this, for those of you who are thinking about doing it or who are brand new, I want you to really think about the reasoning behind your choice to get someone to sit down and listen to you talk, to get them into a hypnotic trance, to get to their past lives. Why are you doing it? What's the point? And once you understand why it is you're doing it, you're going to have so much more power in your sessions, because now you have a goal, right? Now you understand. In doing this with people, I've really done a lot of soul searching, okay? At first, I wasn't sure about a lot of things. And I said that I would bring this up, and I'm only going to touch on it briefly because I've talked about it a lot on a lot of different episodes, but the ethical question of past life regression. Some people think that all you're doing in past life regression is planting delusions in people's heads, and that was a really big fear of mine. The second big fear was, am I summoning ghosts or like seancing spirits? Both of those very quickly dissipated as fears of mine. But in the process of doing this, it's forced me not forced me, but it's encouraged me to do a lot of my own soul searching and a lot of spiritual growth on my own end. And I've just come to find that, regardless of whether or not I fully believe it, I'm just happy to let people have the experience. And it has helped me with getting in touch with my own spirituality. Spirituality that I didn't even know existed, right? With past life regression, it's really hard to have the hypnosis without the spirituality, right? The spirituality can exist on its own, and the hypnosis can exist on its own. There are tons of people out there that just practice hypnosis without any spirituality. It's all science. It's all, we're gonna hypnotize you. We're gonna take care of your smoking. We're gonna help you with your weight loss. We're gonna help you with your money management, whatever it is. There's tons of people out there, but specifically for past life regression, you really can't have the hypnosis without the spirituality. And so I also encourage you in doing this to find and become comfortable with your own spirituality. And in a big way, that's going to make a huge difference for your clients and your sessions. And that's what I'm going to leave you with today, is just become comfortable with yourself, and it's going to make a big difference. Thanks so much for hanging around, for all you guys that stuck with me during this break. I know it was a long one, but I'm back, and I'm ready to keep uploading. Once again, bi-weekly, so that's every 2 weeks I'm going to be uploading. And don't forget to follow me in your podcast player. And if you have a topic you want me to talk about, or if you want to come on the podcast to talk about your experiences, shoot me an email. My email is theregressionsession@gmail.com, and I would love to have you on the show.